We're going to move on to the land acknowledgement. I will turn to Nicholas to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hatiwanderong, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live.
Thank you. We're going to move on to number 3, declaration of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, I will move on to number 4, adoption of the agenda. Before we adopt the agenda, I am going to make a motion that we edit the agenda to move 7.3 to 7.1, as we have a presenter here today, and we can have him present prior, and then he can leave. So that being said, do I have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as stated? Tony, a seconder? Amanda, thank you. I call a question. All those in favor? That passes. We're going to be moving on to adoption of the minutes, 5.1 CEAC 7-2023 from Tuesday, June 6th. Can I get a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes from June 6th? Nella? Seconder? Carol, thank you. I call into question. All those in favor? That passes. Thank you. Correspondence. Nicholas, do we have any correspondence?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to 7.1 right now, which would be the Earth Day update. I will turn to Joe, Chair of the Environment, Climate Change, and Biodiversity Advisory Committee, for his presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair and committee members. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I understand I've got a time limit on this presentation, so I won't give an overview of my position with the Environment Committee and what we're involved in there, but I'll get into the presentation here. I met with the executive, Chair Marcia Coppola and Vice Chair Tony Vandermas, on May 15th, representing the Environment Committee with a proposal to have the City of Thorold host an Earth Day event. This would complement the Earth Day cleanup that currently is held in the city. This would take the Earth Day event to a different level of participation with the community. What I've learned over the years participating in many Earth Day events myself, not as an organizer, but as a participant, I've really come to understand the importance of the theme of the Earth Day, and it's about education. Basically, it's pointing out to people the need to make changes in your life that will lead you to become a better environmental steward. So the makeup of this particular event, there's several components to it. You would have some vendors. You would have vendors that would be possibly selling products. You would have vendors that would be educators, and we would look forward to other initiatives that could be molded into the event itself. At that presentation, everybody was really on board. The city was on board. Matthew Trenham was there, along with Stephanie Jarvis. They had good comments to make, and Tony and Marcia also had comments. Tony had suggested that I reach out to the Lake Gibson Committee as well as the Thorold Library Committee to see about their participation in the event. So that was about where we left that. So then I started my cross-Canada tour, going from committee to committee, talking to various people. Before I had my first meeting, which was going to be the Lake Gibson Corridor Committee, I'd already talked to our MPCA rep on our Environment Committee, Carrie Royer, and she indicated that the MPC is always willing to participate in events like this. It may not necessarily be her, but it would be somebody that would be representing the MPCA at this event. I also reached out to Habitat for Humanity, and I was speaking to a project coordinator, Dawn Cavison, and she was really excited when I put forward the proposal of what we were doing, because she told me not often is Habitat for Humanity asked to participate in events like this. They're known for their restorers and handing over keys when new homeowners are taking possession of the houses that the Habitat for Humanity makes. So we talked about what the makeup of the event would be, and then she offered or asked if the Habitat for Humanity could supply a bin that would be there to collect e-waste. And I was really pleased that she was offering that, because that's what I was going to ask her if she would do. I learned that Habitat for Humanity actually has a third-party vendor that comes in and buys this e-waste, and that's toasters, microwaves, whatever is electronic that you don't have in your house that you're using. So they have a third-party vendor that buys this, so that's a revenue that's basically going into their operating fund, which I never understood or I never knew about. So that's where I was with a little bit of legwork myself before I held my first meeting with the Lake Gibson Corridor. And in that meeting, that committee was really on board with it. There was a suggestion made that I also reach out to the Smelsworth Conservation Committee, as well as reaching out to the Indigenous community to get them involved as well. So it's going to be a very inclusive event. So then I moved on to the next thing that came up before the next meeting I had with the Thorold Library Board was Councillor Ken Sentence put forward a motion at the May 30th City Council meeting for the City of Thorold to involve itself in a tree giveaway program / rain barrel program. And his request along with that motion was to have the Environment Committee take care of the responsibility of overseeing that particular program. So this was a real positive idea that's coming forward that could really draw a lot of people to this particular event. Hopefully the city will see fit to proceed with this motion, and we can sit down and talk about how many trees and rain barrels would be available at this particular event. So then I met with the library board on June 14th, and again, everybody is really supportive of this. There was an offer from Jeannie Swire to use the senior center to hold the event. I'm taking that into consideration. What she also offered too was to reach out to Community Care for donations that would consist of unwanted clothing. I mean, they could drop off clothing that the Community Care might want to try to resell in their stores. But the idea was to donate clothing that's not suitable for wearing anymore to keep it from going to a landfill. The Community Care sells this unwanted clothing to Johnny White Rags, so it's got a second life before it does finally hit the landfills. So then the next meeting, Joan DeQuadros also offered to come up with a list of activities for the kids that particular day, which would be good because this is going to be a family event. So we want to make sure that we're directing the initiatives of this particular type of a themed event to the future generation of our land stewards, and that's the young people that we can easily mold. And they are very much embracing these ideas, and I've seen that when I'm at vendor shows with my own particular products that I'm selling. The next meeting I set up was with Megan Gilchrist at the Thorold Community Activities Group. Megan, one of the reasons I did reach out to her was before COVID, I reached out to Dan Pelche, and what I was offering was I make native bee habitats, nesting habitats, and Dan and I were looking at me doing a workshop during the March break where I've got a particular model that can be disassembled and put together to build it as a kit. And it would be a great learning opportunity for these kids. Around the same time, just before the COVID came in, Ken and Shauna McQuarrie from Macquarie Family Bees had brought in an actual observation hive of honeybees, European honeybees. And the kids were really excited about that. So this is what led me to reach out to Dan for that particular idea. So with Megan, when I was talking to her, I wanted to bring that back onto the agenda for the TCAG, but I suggested instead of doing it during the March break, we could do it at the Earth Day event. And I also suggested that, or I asked her if the TCAG building would be available for that event. It would be very fitting to have it there. Their layout is more suitable for that type of an event. They have a drive-through around the back and to exit again where the tree drop-off or the tree pickup could be held. They just recently had a ribbon-cutting ceremony for a community garden that they've planted in the back, which would be a great thing that people would see when they come around the back to pick up their trees. I also, after I talked to Megan about the initiative with the bee habitats, when I was at the Canada Day event on Saturday, the library had a booth set up, so I just kind of snuck over and talked to Joanne for a minute, and I made the same offer to Joanne. I thought I could do 2 workshops in that one day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and the second one would be directed for the children, the kids that are involved in the youth activities with the library. So she was really on board for that. I think I've pretty well covered everything. There's still a lot more that can be done. And if I want to talk about, okay, the vendors, if we're going to have vendors in there that are selling products, they would have to be earth-friendly in that nature. I mean, you've got people that assemble a number of different components to put together and have a finished product, and these are components that would otherwise go to the landfill. So this is all part of the reduce, reuse, and recycle type of mandate. I guess the criteria for qualifying as a vendor would have to be determined and written so that we explain to the people exactly what would allow to be sold at this particular event. Same with the educators. That would all have to lead to some kind of a theme towards education that would promote changes in the way you live around your home, or how you treat your property in terms of gardening, eliminating pesticides and herbicides in your garden, that type. So I think so far it seems to be on track with a lot of good support. There's going to be many more meetings, I think, held in the near future, and I'm always looking for feedback or anybody that wants to participate as an assistant in this particular project with a working group. I've already had Tony Vandermaas has already put his hand up before. So I think I can close on my presentation and entertain any questions or comments or suggestions.
Thank you, Joe. I have Nella's hand up. Nella, you might have to type it if we can't hear you. Joe, while she's typing, can I ask the date of this event that you're planning on having?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. From experience with all the ones that I've been involved in, a couple of years ago, I was actually at one in Welland, and they did it on the 22nd, which happened to be, I think, a Friday. And the turnout was very poor because a lot of people are working during that particular day. So I know Earth Day follows the 22nd. But I would be looking at the ones that I've seen and I've participated in that have been successful have been on the 3rd Saturday of April. So your advertising, your promotion, it's basically a day off for everybody, and it ensures you've got a good opportunity for having a really good turnout.
Thank you. Nick, do we have Nella's comment up?
Ms. Chair, I don't see a comment in the thread.
My apologies. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'll just read her questions. It has, okay, I have a few questions. Will it be the same day as the city's Earth Day? Why haven't we considered Beaver Dams Park? It seems like we're incorporating a lot of different things. It seems to be more than Earth Day.
I have done, you got to look at that time of the year. You know yourself from doing the cleanup that weather is not predictable. Hence, it would be more advisable to do it in an indoor event. I was at one Maury Gardens, I think about 4 years ago, and I was out in the back greenhouse, and believe me, it was cold and it was rather uncomfortable for the length of time that you're out there. You're generally going to run the show from about probably 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So it all ties in basically with as being as close as possible to Earth Day as possible. That's my spin on it right now.
Thank you. She's just typing again. Just one moment. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to add in the comments? So will it be different than the traditional Earth Day? She's asking.
Well, what I've seen is the traditional Earth Day. I've been doing Earth Day shows since about 2016, and they are really heavy on organics, education, environmental stewardship. It's not a craft show event like you would see the Thorold craft shows being held. It is a very focused theme, so to speak.
Nella, does that answer your question?
Okay.
Thanks, Joe, for the presentation, and perhaps it could come to council. Yes, Tony?
I just wanted to suggest, to Nella's question, I'm not sure what a traditional Earth Day is. I mean, in Thorold, it's mostly just been picking up garbage.
Correct.
This year, we also had the indigenous plantings. And I think they're planning on something like that again for next year. And I think that as long as it's earth friendly, it's appropriate for Earth Day. In order to have it in a park, I think we'd have to have large tents.
Yes.
Because even if the exhibitors have tents, people won't come out if they have to walk in the rain.
Absolutely.
We saw that on Canada Day. The Blues on the Battlefield on Sunday. There were maybe 36 of us there on Sunday afternoon. Well, it wasn't raining very hard. It was just kind of spitting, but I think these are good ideas, but the thing with Battle of Beaver Dams Park is it's going to have to be dry. And we certainly can't count on that. Not in June.
Okay. Through you, Madam Chair, to the Vice Chair. Some of the presenters, if you get the ones that are doing educational presentations, generally they're talking and they're doing PowerPoint presentations at the same time. So that has to be considered if you're going to try and hold it as an outdoor event. If it's a real sunny day, that could really obscure or hinder the presentation that the presenter is trying to put forward. Hence, when you're inside, some of the facilities that I've been in have usually used a separate room, separate from where the core of the event is being held. So there could be a limited number of seating set up, so people are actually sitting down, presenters at a table, got the PowerPoint presentation, and they have a quiet audience that they're speaking to. I've been at some where they've had up to about 4 speakers that would address the participants during the course of a day, and unfortunately, me being a vendor at them, I've never had a chance to actually sit in on them, and I would like to sometime.
Anybody else at this time? So I have a question. I just want everybody else to go. So just so I get a broader understanding of it, this would be an event that the city puts on
True.
with a working group, we'll call it,
Yes.
underneath Environment Canada, the environmental group, I apologize. City could still do the traditional cleanup,
Yes.
everything like this, but this would be an event within Earth Day's planning of the city. Is that what I'm understanding?
Absolutely. I would believe that the Community Events Committee would have to have involvement utilizing the project coordinator, because they are the ones that are responsible for formatting the events, aren't they, or putting them on. The Environment Committee, because I put the presentation forward, Matthew had indicated that it would be the Environment Committee's responsibility, I guess, to not use his words because he didn't really say it, but to create the event, and then in conjunction with the Community Events Committee, your committee would be more upon, the responsibility would fall more on putting it forward through the guidance of us.
So is that what you're looking forward today, is for us to move this item forward to council for you?
I believe so. I don't know if there's any more I can gather from any of the other committees. I think the basic idea exists. I think there's enough ideas that have started. We'd just be dealing with getting a number of vendors. I don't know how many we would have. That would be determined by the facility where we would hold it. We'd have to keep that into consideration. I would say probably cap it at maybe 24 inside vendors. It's a first run, so we're not too sure how it's all going to play out. But if the tree giveaway / rain barrel program is adopted by the city, that's going to attract a lot of people right there. So that is a real good starting point for us, and then we can build on it over the years.
I have one more question online. They're asking, will you be looking for Earth Day committee then?
I would say yes. Yes. It's going to take, I think, a fair number of people to work this out.
Okay, thank you. So if anyone's interested, if you guys could reach out to Joe directly and give him your name and information, is that okay with you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so at this time, is there any other discussion on this matter? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to move this item forward to council. Do I have a seconder? Tony, any other discussion on moving this forward to council? So I think Nella's typing. Our apologies. Just it's a delay with the.
Nah, it's okay.
Yes, somebody will be presenting to council, correct? You would come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd come back and present to council. And
Pro-
probably do your full presentation.
I think I have 10 minutes at council.
Or you can always pre-send it out, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I will call the motion, all those in favor of moving this item forward to council? 1, 2, 3. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Joe, for your time, and hopefully we'll see you at council soon.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, from there, we're going to move on in community business to 7.2, which is a candidate wrap-up. I will turn to Vice Chair Tony Vandermast to present. It says your name. It should be Jacob, or Dave, or Steve.
What am I presenting?
Candidate wrap-up.
Oh, no, I just,
Nicholas, that would probably be Dave or Jacob or Steve, not Tony.
Okay. Jacob, Dave, how are you doing with the audio on your end? I see Jacob is muted. Okay, we're not hearing you, Jacob. Might I suggest we defer?
I was just going to suggest that. So with that being said,
I mean, I can tell you what I saw, but you were there too.
yeah, but we'll wait for the city. So with that, we're going to defer 7.2 candidate event wrap-up. Also, we're going to have to defer 7.3, which is the Santa Claus Parade update, as they would be the same person presenting. So both those two items will be deferred, and we can get the wrap-up at the next meeting. Yeah, we're up to number 8, which is roundtable. I apologize, everyone. You're going to have to type in anything that you have. So, Carol, if you could give me a thumbs up or down whether or not you have anything to discuss for roundtable. Thank you. Linda, can you show with a thumbs down? Amanda? Thank you. Nella, do you have anything for roundtable? I appreciate that. Ricardo, do you have anything for roundtable? Thank you. Tony, I know you must.
I have nothing.
Wow. Well, I have nothing also. Wow, that's a first. That you and I have nothing to say. So we're going to move on to number 9. The next meeting will be held on Tuesday, August 1st, 2023. I will not be present. Tony Vandermast will be stepping in. I'll be away on vacation. And then the next one will be September 5th at 6:30. I appreciate everyone with the technical difficulties today and hanging in there. I truly appreciate it. So with that, there being no further business, I call this meeting into adjournment. Thank you, guys.